Hi, I'm Stevie W. This is In the Geek Room, and today I'm going to be counting down my top 11 Star Wars movies. No doubt, when I do another one of these videos sometime in the future, the order will change. But as of January 2020, this is how they stand and how I feel about the Star Wars movies. Coming in at number 11, Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens. Okay, there had to be one out right at the end, and for me, it's The Force Awakens. And again, this is just my opinion. It's not that it's essentially a rehash of A New Hope. It's an enjoyable film, and JJ did the impossible in taking the original cast and a new cast and merging them together perfectly in a genuinely enjoyable film. But if there's number one, there has to be a number 11 in this list, and The Force Awakens comes in at number 11. The introduction of BB-8 was absolutely BB-8's a great character, so another way of selling toys, you could argue. But Captain Phasma, the female storm trooper, played by Gwendolyn Christie, a nice addition. Would have liked to have seen her have more screen time, but it seems like Han Solo going onto the Millennium Falcon for the first time since Return of the Jedi, and when he meets Princess Leia again for the first time, get to see them together on screen since Return of the Jedi. It's moments like that, and the highlight of the film was when Han and Leia meet again, and that to me that just got to me on first screening and second screening, and Han's arc, I didn't see that coming, and I'll be honest with you, when I watched it the first few times, I kind of I'm not going to go into spoiler territory here, so if you haven't seen it, Han's arc and his last scene in The Force Awakens was wow. I didn't see that coming, even though it was telegraphed from a distance. It is an emotional investment, and it's the original characters that bring it to it for me. I mean, it is a enjoyable film, but like I said, there has to be an 11 if there is a number one. Number 10, Solo: A Star Wars Story. Now, coming off the back of number 8, which a lot of people said I'm not going to see Solo because I didn't like number 8, even though it's a separate entity to the Skywalker movies. It kind of underperformed at the box office. It had problems with changing directors. Ron Howard takes over and crafts a great movie, a really enjoyable standalone out of the Skywalker saga movie with Alden Ehrenreich as a superb Han Solo, and a cast backed up with Donald Glover, who's great as Lando Calrissian, does Billy Dee proud. Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, Thandie Newton, and Paul Bettany, and with a nice little cameo at the end for a character which would have liked to have seen in future standalone movies. Hopefully, the character will appear somewhere else on the TV. But Solo, not a bad movie. It's actually really enjoyable, and go and see it if you're one of these people that's been avoiding the movies because you didn't like Rise of Skywalker, not Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi. Yeah, but Solo, a really enjoyable film. Not essential viewing, but it's fun, and Ron Howard does it again because I like Ron Howard. So, Revenge of the Sith at number 9. Now, there's a few elements in this film which I really didn't like, and it's I always liked Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, what he did in the Clone Wars being ambiguous, but when the whole massacring of the younglings in the Jedi Temple, I found that it didn't work for me. It should have been always left ambiguous what his role was in the Clone Wars, but massacring the younglings at the Jedi Temple, that didn't sit right and for me. And the Padme losing her will to live before she dies, I thought that was that didn't work. And for those 2 points alone, that's the reason it's number 9. Visually superb, even though it's very CG heavy. It's the battle of the heroes. John Williams at his best. The emotion. You don't want Anakin to change, and the Obi-Wan versus Anakin is brilliant. Darth Vader at the end, with the exception of the no, it does have some real solid moments, and the John Williams music during the execution of Order 66, a superb little montage scene that's brilliant. And a little bit of a cheap thing I always found in it when Chewbacca, when Yoda says goodbye to Chewbacca and Tarful's goodbye Chewbacca, good friends you have been. You just know that's going straight into the third act. I thought that was it was a nice little touch, but I liked the way that it was. Yoda wasn't just saying goodbye to Chewbacca and linking two characters from the originals, but it was also saying goodbye to the audience, and this is where everything goes really to the dark side. So it has moments of greatness that's just let down for me by, like I said, two bad moments. Number 8, Rogue One. A brilliant standalone movie. You know the ending when you go into it because you don't know, these characters don't appear anywhere else. But, superb cast, superb storytelling, the use of Vader, Tarkin. And the bit that got me is the ending with Princess Leia and her one word, hope. That's just, sorry if I've given the ending away if you haven't seen it. But Rogue One, yeah, I enjoyed it as a standalone movie. Visually, it's superb. The characters are all there, and I hope someday that they do go back to doing these standalone movies, especially just set in this kind of period between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. It's and the Death Star, of course, and Ben Mendelsohn is absolutely brilliant in it. But Ben Mendelsohn is brilliant in everything. He's a superb actor. So and Donnie Yen, seeing Donnie Yen in a Star Wars movie, so that's why Rogue One's number 8 for me. Number 7, Phantom Menace. Okay, Phantom Menace comes out in 1999. I enjoy it. Then I go off of it. Then you watch it again and you understand that this is ahead of its time. Teaching politics in a period where we need films like this to teach youngsters and children politics and to teach people how democracy can become a dictatorship. Phantom Menace was ahead of its time, and you can educate people by putting political messages into films, and science fiction does it better than anything. Educate people from an early age. And if you watch Phantom Menace again, it's socially relevant more today than it was on its release in 1999, at least in my opinion. So some of the effects haven't aged well because George Lucas uses very it's a CG heavy film, but George Lucas really is a genius, and I would put that up there with A New Hope, American Graffiti, Anti-HX. Just watch Phantom Menace again. It's a great filmmaking, and I just hope someday George Lucas actually goes back to directing, as he may not be able to handle dialogue as well as some people can, but as a director and as a storyteller, he is brilliant. And if about 1 or 2 years ago, I would not have given this film this appraisal, but you have to. But I'll be honest with you, watching it again, and like I said, in the political climate we are now, episode 1 is really a must-watch movie. So that's why this comes in at number 7. Number 6, The Last Jedi. I love this movie. I think Rian Johnson did a superb job. Takes Star Wars in a direction that it hasn't been before, and it was breathtaking. It was a real adrenaline shot in the arm. This to me is Star Wars at its best. I would have rated it higher, but there's some more films that, in my opinion, at the moment are higher on this. Carrie Fisher's last full movie, and I know a lot of people have picked up on Princess Leia doing the whole Mary Poppins things when she gets blown out the frigate and she comes back in. But to me, that would have been the easiest way to edit that and not have to worry about having to bring back Princess Leia back in number 9. I'm glad Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm kept Princess Leia's performance intact, and the ending and the tribute they have during the end credits, superb. Luke Skywalker's arc, to me, I loved it. Jedi fails, goes into hiding. Obi-Wan did it, Yoda did it, Luke does it. So to me, it was natural progression for the character. I know a lot of people would like to have seen Luke Skywalker, this major Jedi who goes on and does these wonderful things, but Luke makes a mistake and he goes into hiding. Again, that's attempted again in the next film by another character. So again, it goes to show continuity. And Last Jedi to me is great filmmaking, and I know it took a lot of flack, and I really don't want to focus on the negative. But again, I loved The Last Jedi. Again, this would be higher, but there are 5 more films that, and I do look at some of these through rose-tinted glasses. But as a piece of filmmaking, Rian Johnson did something absolutely superb, and he made Knives Out as well after The Last Jedi. So I want to shout out to Knives Out, great film, and he introduced us to Porgs. So people that say George Lucas and knowing merchandise, the Porgs, merchandise. They were built for merchandise, because if you didn't come out of cinema and being a Star Wars fan not wanting a Porg, yeah, Porgs. I'm going to say that again. Great film, Last Jedi. That's why it comes in at number 6. Number 5, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Now this is where the rose-tinted glasses are on. Came out not 1992, 2002. I love this film. I really do. To me, this is fun. This is the one that, for me, is a big callback to the originals in terms of how it made me feel. Which, after this, a few years later, they made a film called John Carter. And you could see how, I never read John Carter books, but after watching John Carter, I realised, so that's where the battle arena on Geonosis, the idea comes from. And that's probably the reason why I like John Carter and Mars, because I like Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which was heavily influenced when you watch John Carter or read John Carter. So Episode 2 is brilliant. I like the characters. Okay, it has some dodgy dialogue, I'll admit it. But, from start to finish, Jango Fett is cool. And when you can get dodgy dialogue like "This party's over," said by Mace Windu, and it comes out of Samuel L. Jackson's mouth, and it sounds cool. Plus, it has one of my favourite lines in the Star Wars movies from Jango Fett. "I'm just a simple guy trying to make his way in the universe." I love that line, and it's one of my most quotable lines from Star Wars. But as a film, it is fun, and that's what I like about it. Okay, some of the CG Yoda is a bit dated now, and I do prefer the puppet. But I remember seeing this on the big screen at midnight screening, which was my first midnight screening. So again, I've got a lot of fond memories about Attack of the Clones. So, and Hayden Christensen is brilliant as Anakin Skywalker. I actually like him, I really do. And Ewan McGregor in the sequence in the cafe with Dexter Jester, I hope I've got his name right. It's superb. You look at Ewan McGregor's face, it looks like he's having fun. And with cameos from Ahmed Best and Anthony Daniels, see if you can spot them. It's good, but like I said, Jango Fett is cool, and of course Boba Fett. It's great to see the young Boba Fett, and of course the ending with the Star Destroyers taking off and the Imperial March. I've got to admit, that's one of my favourite endings of the Star Wars movies, with the music and everything. From the moments they go back to Coruscant, from that point when Count Dooku, played superbly by Christopher Lee, arrives on Coruscant right to the end, is one of my favourite endings of the Star Wars movies. It's superb. So that's why George Lucas's Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, comes in at number 5. So coming in at number 4, the new one, Rise of Skywalker. This, to me, again, this is a fun film. I go through this on the Star Wars review for Rise of Skywalker, so if you want to see more in depth on this one, just go check out my review on this channel in the Geek Room. Got a bit of a plug for myself. So the Rise of Skywalker, this is a fun film, and I truly love it. It made me feel like I was a kid again. The Emperor, played by Ian McDiarmid, is menacing, more menacing than he was in the originals and in the prequel trilogy, and it feels natural the way he's brought back. And the Death Star 2, the inclusion of that, everything seems, it feels right. Everything feels right about this movie, and I do love the Rise of Skywalker. Like I said, it's one of these films, because I've seen it a few times now, and I go back to see it because it's fun, not because it's a Star Wars movie. It's a standalone film. It works, but as the conclusion of the Star Wars Skywalker saga, it's perfect. I like the character arcs; they're all there, and having Billy D. Williams back as Lando Calrissian, who is so cool. Uh, Princess Leia's used perfectly in the movie. I love how Carrie Fisher gets top billing on this movie, and it's got a nice few cameos in it that are. It's just, yeah, it's nice. I don't want to go into spoiler territory because I was recording it still at the cinemas, but everything works in this movie for me, and it is a fun film, and that's the thing that I take from it. I laughed, I cried, I walked out the cinema wanting to see it again, and it's just some of the beats that they take from it's music. There's some musical beat at the end that got to me, and it's one of these films you will, if you watch a few times, you will spot little things that are very subtle, that but are just absolutely superb. If you love Star Wars, then this is it. But if you're going, but I read somewhere that there are people that watch this movie that going into it, you're either gonna love it or you hate it. You know it. If you're a fanboy, you go into this, you either know before you see it, you're gonna either love it or you're gonna hate it. I went into this hoping that I was gonna love it because the the original trailer that they released at Celebration, the first Star Wars trailer from it, I actually consider to be one of my favorite all-time trailers now, because even if this film had been not what I expected and had been underwhelming to me, that trailer still stands up as being one of the best teaser trailers I've seen. It is brilliant, and this film for me lived up to the promise that trailer delivered. That trailer. So for me, it's why the reason Rise of Skywalker comes in at number 4, and Dio is so cute. Coming in at number 3, this is where the rose-tinted glasses are completely on. Return of the Jedi. Okay, it's the weakest of the three of the originals, because come on, you're competing with Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope, or Star Wars as it was in '77. But to me, it's a great movie. There is, I mean, it's hard to say anything. It's ingrained. This is a film that's been ingrained into me for about over 30 years, since '83. So that's a long time. It's about 36, 37 years. So that, I mean, the puppets at the start, Jabba's palace, is still perfect. The space battle on Death Star 2, is still impressive today. I recently watched the theatrical cut that was released on DVD in the early 2000s as a bonus disc, and the original theatrical cut still holds up today. And I hope someday they actually clean them up and release the original cuts on Blu-ray. But the Ewoks, I mean, they were cute then, they're cute now, and I have such a soft spot for this movie because I was about 7 or 8 when I saw it for the first time, and the ending still gets me. When you grow up with a character like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, R2-3PO, Chewie, it's, and this was the last film, Star Wars film, we were going to get until 1999, 16 years. It was a very emotional film at the time for me, and it stands up now. So there's a lot of rose-tinted glasses regarding this film. So Return of the Jedi, it wasn't going to come anywhere other than number 3. Number 2, Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back of the Star Wars sequels. It is a perfect movie. You have the big space battle. You have the huge battle that you normally have at the end. You have it at the start, so that you have the emotional connection. You've got the "I love you, I know" between Han and Leia. You have to wait 3 years in 1980 to 1983 to find out what happens to Han Solo when he's put in carbonite. You're introduced to the cinematic Boba Fett. If you don't, although if there's anyone out there, yes, I know he was in the holiday special. But you get to see Boba Fett the first time, the bounty hunters, the Imperial March, Hoth, Bespin, you get introduced to Lando Calrissian, Luke versus Vader on Bespin, the ending, the revelation that that Darth Vader's Luke Skywalker's father is Anakin Skywalker. That was huge at the time, where if you're too young for it, which I know some of you will be, their theory is that children didn't when it came out didn't believe that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker, is Luke's father, because Vader's the bad guy. The bad guy lies. But the adults, it's natural. It was just like, yeah, it's could happen. Then you're left wondering for 3 years who the other is. It is great in bringing in Yoda, the single, in my opinion, greatest puppet, and it's still a perfect performance from Frank Oz, and that is brilliant. I was watching Empire recently, and just watching Yoda, it's flawless. To me, it's perfection, and his introduction, how cute and funny he is before he turns all sinister with the you will be, and perfect filmmaking. That's why the phrase "The Empire Strikes Back" of ... when it comes to films, a perfect sequel. Irvin Kershner, perfection. So, obvious what number one is: Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, or Star Wars, if you prefer, the little film that could. Perfection. Going through it, shot for shot, perfect movie. It is George Lucas's masterpiece. One of George Lucas's masterpieces. THX is superb. American Graffiti is superb. The game changer in terms of cinema. This is the reason we have the modern day blockbuster, along with Jaws. I mean, I've got a big shout out for Steven Spielberg's 1975 Jaws. So Jaws, Star Wars, two of the most important films in the last 45 years. 2000, so happy 45th Jaws. And Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope introduced to so many iconic characters, things that have become part of our vocabulary, like droids, Jedi, Sith, Dark Side, Death Star, blasters, and the characters are all iconic, and the ending is superb. The reason we have modern day special effects, thanks to ILM, Lucasfilm, John Williams' superb score. I've tried to watch this film and look for things in it that are rubbish. I tried to dissect this, and you can nitpick, but for pure enjoyment, it's flawless. It's, to me, as perfect as an entertainment children's film as you can get. Having said that, I mean, I point it out that way because if you want another perfect movie, you're looking at something like Schindler's List. But in terms of family entertainment with nothing to just enjoy, Star Wars is perfect. A New Hope, and the fact that it's influenced so many things and so many filmmakers, and it created created to a major extent the used universe, the Millennium Falcon, the X-Wings, TIE Fighters. Everybody knows who Darth Vader is. He's recognizable as Mickey Mouse. Kind of funny, he's owned by Mickey Mouse. So, I mean, I could go on for hours about how great this movie is, and if you listen to the High Ground podcast or in the Geek Room videos, or or some of the other stuff that I actually do, then no doubt somewhere down the line or somewhere on these channels we have more about these films. But to me, Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope is as close to perfection as you get, and as a movie, it is superb. I mean, I could go on, but I'm just going to be kissing its butt for a little bit more. So, again, this has been my top 11 Star Wars films. Again, this is all subject to change, but I don't think I'll ever likely to change the top 3. Like I said, rose-tinted glasses, but I'm being honest with you all viewers. So, that's been my rundown. Your opinions will probably be different, and I know Episode 2 can be a bit of polarizing. So, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, can be very polarizing. But this is just my opinion. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be the first to admit this has been a bit of a kiss butt fest regarding these movies. But this is my opinions. So see you all in another In the Geek Room video.